Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Annual General Meeting of the International School Association of Dakar. I'm so happy we can hold this meeting in person after almost 2 years. And in our brand new Performing Arts Center. My name is Tiaba Kamarasi, and it is my honor as the chair of the Board of Trustees to be delivering this report. The trustees are a dedicated group of parents, volunteers, who are the governing body of the school. We provide strategic direction, financial oversight, and develop policies for the school to follow and implement. The day-to-day operations of the school are left in the capable hands of our director, Dr. Alan Milrock, and his team. Each beginning of the school year, the board takes a weekend to plan out the priorities of the year ahead. This school year, coming on the heels of COVID and the late opening, the board has set 3 goals and 1 task. I would like to report to you on our progress toward achieving them. First, slide please. First, we set a goal to provide the resources, processes, and policies to address the physical health, mental health, and safety of the ISD community related to COVID-19. Needless to say, it has been a bumpy year, but we've been able to be in person, on campus, practically all year long, and that's quite an achievement for us. This was facilitated in no small part through a health and safety committee led by our assistant director, Suzanne Wardini, and supported by our medical team, admin staff, and a group of expert parents who helped the school keep up to date with the latest research, put in place measures ensuring that the entire campus was as COVID ready as it could be. Furthermore, this team worked around the clock to prevent any major outbreaks by constantly keeping an eye on all the moving pieces to ensure the campus was running at full capacity. Additional resources provided by the board ensured the operations team were able to add on staff to enable constant sanitization and cleaning of all spaces on campus. I cannot fail to mention the tremendous support given to us by the community during these difficult times. While the inability to use the facilities for a while by our community was a big inconvenience, the understanding, support, thoughtfulness, and kindness exhibited by the community was key in our success. Our second board goal was to ensure that each member of our community feels respected, included, connected, and safe. Whereas the Diversity and Inclusion Committee had made significant strides last year, the global events last summer, as well as the voices of our very own students with their Instagram pages, Normal Silence and Black at ISD, propelled the board to set the foundations for a school that values every single individual equally. Guided by the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, led by myself, and under the leadership of our director, Dr. Alan Milrock, and the Innovation Director, Dr. Nika Johnson, the school has been able to take big steps in the achievement of this goal through the development and implementation of its action plan. From listening sessions with and training of students, faculty and staff, administration and board members, to a review of policies, curriculum and hiring practices. ISD is now a leading institution in the world of international schools, where we have proven that while walking the talk is hard, it can be done. But that does not mean that our work in this area is done. And we must acknowledge that it is an ongoing effort that we must continually sustain. Additionally, under the Policy Committee, led by Stefan Rosenberg, the school has taken a firm stance against harassment of any kind, on and off campus, by creating a policy to this effect. This will enable us to protect our children best we can, while on and off the ISD campus. The board's third goal this year was to ensure that ISD facilities meet the needs of our current and future programs for a student body of around 800. Undoubtedly, ISD has seen more growth in enrollment numbers in the recent years than before, and it's the board's role to ensure that at any given moment, the facilities meet the needs of our student body. The opening of part of the building we are currently sitting in is a big part of that plan, as is the current expansion of our swimming pool into an Olympic-size pool with competition hosting capacity. As the term of our current strategic plan has expired, the board has given itself a task to begin the process for the development of a short-term strategic plan that will serve as a foundation for a longer-term plan, which will be developed with the input of the new head of school in 2 years' time. There are many more regular tasks that the board undertakes each year in addition to its goals. Under the guidance of our treasurer, Monique Len, our finance committee has overseen the finances and budget planning for this rather unpredictable year and the coming school year. Our Buildings and Grounds Committee, chaired by Eileen Carahan, who is also the board vice chair, has continued the supervision and monitoring of the PAC's construction, as well as breaking ground of the pool. The Governance and Development Committee, chaired by Sadia Assim, who is also the board secretary, has ensured proper governance was adhered to all year long, and has planned logistics for the trustee election, the various surveys, the AGM, and many others. Whilst it's frequently me standing up for the board at school events, I am a representative of the trustees as a whole. Never have I felt this so much as during the past year, with the impact of COVID-19, financial uncertainty, civil unrest for the first time in many years, among other difficulties. When the trustees have stood together, volunteering their expertise, time and resources to keep our schools steady. We will announce the results of the trustee elections later this evening, and we look forward to handing over the baton to others who, just like us, want to see a school we are all proud to be a part of. Hosting the meeting tonight is one of my last tasks as chair of the ISD Board of Trustees after 11 years on the board, as chair of the Finance Committee for 9 years, and as board chair since last year. and I will, with a heavy heart, be saying goodbye to the board and to ISD. So, with your permission, I would like to say a few thank yous before I step down. First, to my fellow trustees and the representatives on the board, Eileen, Sadia, Molly, Stefan, Mathieu, Andrew, Miriam, Martina, Maribeth, and Mika. It has been humbling to work with you all and passionately make ISD the best school it can be. I have learned an enormous amount from listening to your opinions and insights, and I'm a much better person for knowing each and every one of you. I wish to acknowledge Assistant Director Suzanne Mordini, without whom this building we're sitting in would not be where it is now, and Business Manager Ibrahim Afar for his healthy management of our finances and constant big smile. Thank you for your tireless efforts supporting the board, never complaining when we've kept you back late at night to provide your reports. And a very special shout out to Wendy Kinyeki, our world-class board assistant. Because Wendy so competently and cheerfully manages the board's administrative tasks and minutes, we are freed up to concentrate on the work. Wendy, you are our guardian angel, and we genuinely couldn't have achieved all that we have without you. Thank you for being such a precious gem. To our principals, Scabby and Lorne, I say thank you both as a trustee and as a parent, as I have witnessed your continued commitment and initiative to make ISD flourish. You always go above and beyond the call of duty, and doing it with consideration, empathy, and a sense of humor, which is very much appreciated by all around you. And to Alan, I offer you a special vote of thanks. I have had the privilege to work closely with you for many years, and to appreciate how exceptionally lucky we are to have you as our director. Under your leadership and fiscal acumen, Alan, this school has seen tremendous growth, and in these last 18 months of uncertainty, it has been your steady guidance that has made us not only one of the few schools to have been in person almost all year long, but also be one of the few organizations globally that did not have to let go staff to keep thriving. Your educational experience, coupled with kindness, wisdom, business acumen, and a true commitment to our student and the community, has made us a leading light, not just on the continent, but globally. You are a leader and an inspiration. Thank you, Alan. I'm going to miss working with you very much. I'm immensely proud of the things that the board, as a team of committed volunteers, has achieved, spanning from increased enrollment numbers, a strong financial position, world-class staff who have continued to show their commitment and drive to ISD, and our recent authorization for the middle years program, making ISD a full IB continuous. The list goes on. But the point is that without haste and without rest, the board has worked to challenge, create, and change so that ISD is a better school. It has been an honor for me to serve on this board, and while I bid you farewell, it is not goodbye, because as we say, once a Jaguar, always a Jaguar.
evening. Mine was very short, but I did want to say thank you on behalf of the board to Chaba for what I'm supposed to, what I was assigned to do. That was a wonderful speech, very moving. And on behalf of the board, we'd like to thank you again. Even though you see yourself as just a representative, we all know the hard truth of how much you have put, how much you have given of your time, of yourself to the excellence of our school and of our functioning as a whole, as a board. So thank you so much for that, Chaba, and you will be greatly missed. I will try not to be too long. Does anyone have any objections to the minutes? No? It's been unanimously approved. Thank you.
Eileen wins the Brevity Award. It is a recent tradition at our annual general meeting is to bring the student voice to life. Tonight we'll have two sets of student speeches. The first by two grade 12 students who will be graduating in about 9 days' time, I think, Kayla? And two speeches by our grade 8 students. Our first grade 12 student is Kendra Danga, who unfortunately could not be with us in person tonight, but she has a pre-recorded speech for us. Kendra is in her second year at ISD, and upon graduation she's planning on studying law at Nottingham Trent University.
Good evening, everyone. I first arrived at ISD in grade 11, coming from Zimbabwe. ISD was the first international school I attended during my educational journey. Some of the highlights during my time here would be Week Without Walls, which is a service learning trip. I really enjoyed this unique opportunity ISD provides because during this week, students are able to learn the importance of collaboratively working hand in hand to make an impact in society. This is a good life skill which can be used to help communities around us. I also admired the consistent initiative teachers make on a daily basis in classrooms to actively engage students in classroom activities and discussions. ISD has helped me become a more organized person with better time management skills. Another thing is ISD humbled me. Of all the schools I've been to, I've never seen teachers, principal, or staff members standing at the gate greeting each and every child that comes through in the morning. It was a humbling experience that taught me that no matter how high your position of authority is, you can still contribute to the community by being generous with small things like a simple smile or greeting, just to make someone feel at home. To cater for the students' different backgrounds here at ISD, the school could provide more culturally diverse extracurricular activities such as a bagpipe band, hockey, croquet, netball, water polo, or an African dance band. That's all I have.
Canadians in the audience will be happy with the ice hockey, I think. Our next student that I'd like to introduce is Caleb Tan. He's finishing his 4th year with us, and he has just informed me that his plans for next year had a slight change. He is now studying engineering science next year at the University of Toronto, and he tells me it has nothing to do with the fact that his parents are moving to British Columbia. Caleb?
Hi. Sorry, you're going to notice this might be slightly formulaic because I'm going to be answering all the same questions as Kendra. But when I was asked to reflect on some of the highlights of my high school experience, just like Kendra, not only We Without Walls came to mind, but I also thought of any opportunity where students were outside of school walls. So that not only is Week Without Walls, but high school retreats and also wastel events, those are great. And one very specific example I can think of was during 11th grade Week Without Walls. A small group of students were actually selected to go be separated from the rest of the class and go paint a local tally-based shelter while the rest of the students went and painted at the local school. And I was selected as part of this small group. And because of this, I was able to bond with this closer group, not only the students, but also the supervisor, Mr. Johnson. And I feel that has now built a lifelong relationship that goes beyond the classroom and is something that I'm very grateful for. So how has ISD helped me grow as a student? Anybody who knows me can testify I am an awful procrastinator, like horrible, and I have horrible study habits. And the problem was, before I came to ISD, this actually worked for me. And but I'm grateful because since then, during my high school experience, and especially with these exams that we literally just finished, I realized this is not a sustainable way of learning. You cannot possibly make it through life with the way I was going. And so now, just because of that recognition, I feel I'm more prepared and have grown as a student because I now recognize going into university, I need to change my study habits and how I'm going. But of course, my high school experience is definitely not limited to solely academics. I also just wanted to talk about how I feel I've grown as a person because of ISD. Coming to ISD, I was like a small, socially awkward kid, 4'9", like not even that tall. Socially awkward kid, did not really like working collaboratively, didn't really care for interacting with people. It wasn't me. But because of the community here, both teachers and students, I feel I've been able to open up. I trust others, and I'm definitely now more comfortable working collaboratively. And like any high school student, I've built relationships with students, but I also feel what makes ISD unique is I've been given the opportunity to make relationships with teachers. And as I said with Mr. Johnson, these relationships go beyond the classroom. And so now I feel like I can trust adults and students alike, and I've become a better person because of it. One suggestion that I would have for ISD, in classes where standard level and higher level students are mixed, I find that teachers tend to gravitate towards the standard level students and cater towards their every need. And of course this is very beneficial for the students that need that extra help, but I find that does on occasion leave the HL students either singled out or just left to their own devices. I find this especially apparent in my science courses, where we are very mixed. And the problem is with our math courses, for example, we're already split. There are no mixed math classes. The higher levels and the standard levels are completely different schedules. And so I don't see why we can't do that for other classes, because I think that would be very beneficial. And if we can't do it for all of the classes, at least have it considered for the sciences, where there's such a discrepancy between student ability. And that's all I got.
Thank you. All right, step number 6 to the action plan, separate the high level and the standard levels. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Kendra, for sharing your wisdom with us. You'll be able to tell that Jeff and I did not coordinate our speeches, because you will see some redundancies, and I apologize for that. This is one of my favorite pictures of the year. This is my favorite because it's a picture of elementary field day this year. And it's special because last year, our elementary field day was the last large event we had on campus before school closed due to COVID. And the joy and the excitement we had that day, we held on to. And we worked really hard, and Kelly and our health and safety team ensured that we had this event. And to be able, the students who loved it, to go around and play. And the fun part of this is obviously it's a tug of war. And as they go through, I'm not saying that I'm competitive. I'm not saying that some of our staff are competitive, But in the finals, after the kids have sorted out who's the winner, it's not uncommon for the adults. I love this picture because it really is a symbol of where we really worked hard this year, we really struggled, but it was for the students. The staff member who's not here but would want me to tell you the fact that my side, in fact, did lose. And she informed me that it was my 4th year in a row of losing to her. Isn't this great to be in a theater? We have a theater! It honestly feels surreal. We did a thespian dramatic event, and I felt like I was in somebody else's place. It's like, wow. I would like to welcome the parents in the audience, the staff. I'd like to welcome everybody watching at home or watching the recording. It has truly been a year like no other. There are so many people, teachers, staff members, students, administrators, parents, board members, who are responsible for all that we've accomplished this year. My apologies for not thanking everyone by name. In a year when schools around the world have opened and closed, stayed in hybrid mode most of the year, or simply been online all year long. Yes, there are schools in the Middle East that will not open at all this year for in-person learning. ISD has been open for students on campus for over 95% of the possible days. And of course, it was not COVID that closed us, but unfortunately the unrest. It is truly a joy to see the students on campus, at recess and learning in the classrooms. It has personally filled me up and helped me recharge. Last spring, being here at an empty campus, and even during the days that the campus was closed to unrest, it was a lonely and sad place without our children. We are fortunate to be in a country that has managed the pandemic well, and where the government has allowed schools to open. I am so grateful to the ISD families who stayed with us, trusted us, and despite the uncertainty of what the school year would look like. Even though we had to deal with everything this year, ISD recorded its 2nd highest enrollment ever. I'd like to thank the ISD teachers, staff, and administrators. At the start of the year, we asked our staff to take a leap of faith, to work on campus, to teach in person. Our teachers are exposed to 20 to 60 different households every day. 20 to 60 possible sources of infections every day. In the end, our health and safety measures worked, and there were no widespread outbreaks on campus or among our students or staff. As Chiaba said, none of this would have been possible without the leadership of our school nurse, Jen Thurmanos, our assistant director, Suzanne Mardini, who were supported by James Corbett, our physician assistant who joined us this year, and to the many parents who are public health and medical professionals who advised us. Our Health and Safety Committee worked long hours to research and develop the health and safety guidelines, supporting families and staff who are ill, and most importantly, contact tracing to identify close contacts of individuals who tested positive. To date, 47 community members, including students, parents, and staff, have reported testing positive or deemed presumed positive for the virus. This is 2% of our community. I'd like to thank the ISD Board of Trustees for their dedication and commitment to ISD. Our directors are volunteers. Since early March of 2020, they have worked many long hours, often meeting weekly or multiple times in a week, to oversee and guide the administration's response to the pandemic and plan for this year. In particular, I would like to thank Chiaba Kavarasi, our chairperson, who, as she said, served for 11 years, first as treasurer, and then the last 2 years as a chairperson. The ISD community has benefited from her wisdom, patience, and strength. It has been an honor to work with her. Chiaba, on behalf of the ISD community, thank you for everything you've done to make ISD a special place for our students. At this year's open ceremony, I outlined a number of goals for the school year. Goal number 1 was to provide an excellent educational program on campus or online. I told many of my colleagues around the world that our reopening plan was either ambitious, crazy, or both. At the start of the year, we offered on-campus classes for some, hybrid learning for others, and fully remote learning for a third group, about 15% of our students. By mid-November, all students who wanted to attend school 5 days a week were able to do so. And by January, only 3% of our students were remote. This summer, of course, was the year that we were held accountable. This is the summer when our alumni, our students, our staff spoke out. And the goal number 2, as a director, was to take concrete action so that all members of our community are heard, valued, and respected. Under the leadership of Dr. Nika Johnson, our Director of Innovation and new Director of Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator, along with the hard work of the school's Diversity and Inclusion team of educators, under the guidance of the board's D&I committee, we have made strong initial steps in our diversity and inclusion efforts. And somewhat surprisingly, quickly become a leader among international schools in this work. However, there is so much more to do. With a strong commitment from the board, administration staff, and parents, I'm confident we will continue to make progress in years to come. Under the leadership of Mary Giuliani, the ISD mental health counselor, the support of our schools counselors and teachers, we have addressed many of the issues raised by No More Silence Instagram page that detailed sexual harassment and sexual assault in our community. We've had great support from our board, as Chiama noted, in updating policy to give us greater ability to investigate reports. In addition, we've increased our education efforts around these topics. Next year, we'll engage an outside consultant to help us further refine our education and investigation efforts. We are a school, not a law enforcement agency, so there are limitations on what we can do to investigate events. But we are committed to doing everything we can to keep our community safe. This year, ISD was authorized to offer the International Baccalaureate Middle Years Program, completing one of our major strategic goals to offer a full IB program from pre-K to grade 12. Thank you to Ms. Jen Luria, our middle years coordinator, and our secondary school teachers for all the time and effort they devoted to earning this authorization. I was looking at this is a rendering done by the architectural firm 4 years ago, maybe 4.5 years ago. I think we got it. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I see those things and you say, is it really going to look like that? But it really is. And I would be remiss not to actually take this slide out. So you see this theater was designed to bring the outside in and the indoors out. The curtains behind here actually open up if we wanted them to, so you could look out on the grass fields. And the vision was to have, as you can see, a garden effect outside in the outdoor lobby area. And we were going to hire a landscape architect and experts in this and that. And we got ready to open the building and we had dirt there. And we were like, well, what are we going to do? We don't have time for this. And so we literally went to our gardeners and we said, help. And so if you didn't see when you come in, as you go out, please take a moment. They have done an amazing job. They have such great pride in what's out there. And they've even given Suzanne Lardini, our assistant director, and I, drawings of what they would like to see moving forward with palm trees all the way down and everything else. So it is, our support staff are truly a special group. They take ownership of our school. We are the transient ones. And I'm just amazed at what they're able to do. But anyway, obviously we're here in our brand new theater. We will hold a graduation here in 9 days. We will have our grade 8 moving up ceremony we hope to have here as well. The Black Box Theater next door is a classroom. The Black Box, if you're not aware, is a small room for performances. It's a green room, dressing room, and those types of things. That is functional. Our fitness room, if you haven't been in there, it's beautiful with the glass overlooking the garden. Our gym is getting much closer. There are 2 last big projects. The installation of the gym floor, which will be similar to the material in the outdoor courts, and then the bleacher seating that we have to fly in some experts to put that together. And we expect it to be open in August. Our pool renovation is well underway. The old pool and buildings have been demolished. The new pool is now being framed. On your way out, if you want, just walk down the path, kind of climb on the fence a little bit. It's kind of fun. And you can look at it and see the progress of it. But they're moving along quite well. And our hope, our plan, the timeline has it opening up by September in time for swim lessons as part of our PE program as well as our swim season. The school's bylaws require that we present an update on the school's financial status. So we'll start by taking a look at the school year 2021. This year, we are not a small operation. This year we collected a little over $16 million in revenue from you, the parents. The bulk of that, of course, is our operating expenses, which is a little under $15 million. The green there is the capital. This year, the board had decided not to have a tuition increase, as well as the board decided not to charge a returning student capital fee of $1,000. So when we look at our expenses, you will see that we are planning to finish the year with a deficit of $2 million. Before you panic about that, I remind you that Gianna said I'm pretty good with the finances, so don't worry too much about it. The bulk of that deficit was planned as part of the construction project. The school had built up capital reserves and chose to borrow partly for these buildings, but also take partly out of reserves. Because we've seen the enrollment growth over the past couple of years, we've not had to dip into our capital reserve to fund the construction project. This year we will. We have the last big payments to make. So that was the bulk of it. And then, of course, the not charging the returning student capital fee took away about $350,000 in revenue, which is reflected in that. And that was part of the board's commitment to the community, and they felt comfortable enough to take that out of the reserves. When we look at next year's budget, an operating budget at a school is a person business. So the vast bulk of what we spend is on salary and benefits. And the things that contribute to that is that as a school, we do strive to have a competitive compensation package, but more importantly, we provide a very wide range of services. Once you start factoring in the number of counselors we have, learning support teachers, ELL teachers, art, music, PE, etc., it's a fairly robust program. And so we're putting a lot of money into our salaries and benefits. Administration ranges everything from the electricity for this building, insurance, all the repairs, the maintenance, and all those types of things. As a school, you try to keep that under 10%. And we're fortunate that we were able to do that, again, under the leadership of Mr. Ibrahim Afal, our finance director. The education side of it looks small at 8%, but those are the things. That's the instructional materials, the textbooks, the internet access, which is pretty expensive, as we all know, in the country, and all those types of things. So that's materials and the stuff, then that's the library books. So that's how we plan on spending our money next year. On the capital expenditure side, capital is buildings and things, the computers, library books, the buildings, etc. You see that we spend about a quarter of our money, a little more, on education. The operation side of it is appliances, new tools, new trucks, etc. You see it there. The new construction is we have one last payment to be made. There'll be actually two pieces, one big left to be paid on this building. When you build a construction building, you withhold 10% of the money as a guarantee against any form of defect. It's part of a standard contract. So 10% of this building cost that we are withholding, one year after they hand the building back to us formally, then that clock starts, and so if something breaks or something isn't right, we can work on that. And so that's what that new construction cost is, plus a little money for the pool. And then, of course, the loan. As I said, this building, this complex, including the pool, was a little over $7.5 million in total. We are paying $4.5 million in cash and $3 million in loans. We are roughly halfway through the loan payments. It was a 5-year loan. By next year, we'll have about 2 more years left, and that takes up that amount of the expenses. Next year's budget is a small deficit budget, maybe about $300,000, and that's due to the new construction costs. As I said, rather than, because we have the money in reserves as part of the overall financial plan, we have the money to do this, and that's why it's a deficit. The operating budget is always meant to be that we do not spend more money than we take in. And Molly Glenn, who is our treasurer, ensures that every month, along with the finance committee, reviews our finances to make sure that we are being good stewards of the money that you share with us. In closing, we look forward to next year with optimism. We hope it will look a lot like and be able to offer a program that looks more like 2019 than 2020. As always, our opening plans will be guided by the Senegalese government regulations that may be in place by late August, recommendations from the international health organizations, the state of the virus in Senegal come late August, and of course the percentage of our community that has been vaccinated. I'm optimistic we will be able to see some easing of restrictions, but that is of course always dependent upon what happens with the virus that we can never predict. And I dare not predict what will happen. In closing, as a school, we always strive for excellence. Of course, we can always do better. I am so proud of our staff this year, who worked so very hard to provide the best possible program for your children under incredibly trying conditions. And I'm so grateful that you have trusted in us and that we've been able to have your children on campus. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to introduce 2 grade 8 students. The first student, Chen Dong, has been with us for 5 years. I can actually remember the first day he came with his parents. What I'm going to say is that Chen did not speak much of any English at that time, but it was clear that his love of his family and the love of basketball. So I'm really excited to hear this speech. Chen, come on.
Good evening, I'm Chen, a student at ISD for the last 5.5 years. It is my honor to deliver this little speech. In my 3 years of being a middle schooler, there were a lot of highlights, among which we without walls, an opportunity to learn about local culture, activities, etc. It was also fascinating as well as beneficial, collaborating with my peers in class as well as in other activities, such as house groups. Middle school has also improved me, teaching me about community and how I could contribute to in a positive way. In advisory sessions, we could learn how to interact with others. We also have a lot of chances to express ourselves in front of large audience, like right now, but also in class, doing presentations, delivering speeches, etc. There could also be some improvements. In terms of summatives, they are concentrated at the end of the quarters, which is understandable in terms of the time management of teachers, but for students, it could cause a lot of stress. There is also something that's peculiar to the time of COVID. Asynchronous lessons, as it is something new for students, therefore it could be a little difficult as we could not interact with peers and teachers, unlike usual, creating a certain isolation. It was, however, a process of learning about organization and self-management. And like that, middle school is a yellow fading journal. You write down your experiences, joyful and intriguing, deep and shallow, blundering and strolling, even if you're perplexed, at least for now. But after 3 years, I could confidently say that there would be something. There will be something, even if small, that I can learn, that I can teach myself again. Thank you.
One of the advantages of staying at a school for a while, and this is my 7th year, is you get to see your students grow up. Our next speaker, Layla Kebi, was in grade 2 when I came. She's the daughter of our outstanding middle school teacher, Miss Kate Lancaster. And it just struck me in terms of what we did to watch the children grow up throughout their elementary and into middle school. So Layla, who's in her 8th year, is here to share some of her wisdom as well. Layla.
Hello parents and faculty. My name is Layla and I'm an 8th grader. I have been at ISD for 8 years. In my middle school years, I have had many highlights, including participating in learning journeys with all of our interesting units and getting ready to know my peers and learning about all their new thoughts and interests. And previously with our Week Without Wall trips, where we got to learn about different cultures and experience the different ways of living. A way middle school has made me a better student is all the opportunities to be a leader. Due to the fact there's lots of service activities and student council. The middle school also has made me more independent and a better public speaker, even though I'm quite nervous right now. These will be skills that are going to be very valued in my future. As for something that I would truly like to change in the middle school is the more independent studies we have. Because going into high school, we're supposed to somewhat know what we want to do. But with the lack of independent studies, we aren't as prepared for the forthcoming years. So I think that it's very beneficial and it will make us more creative. And like I said before, we would have more of an idea of which path we want to go on. Another thing that I would like to change is the fact that we only have 1 day for Senegalese holidays. Many of us, like myself, have large extended families who celebrate it in the village, and we don't have enough time to go back there and come back to school for the next day. By changing this for future middle schoolers, it will truly show respect for our culture and allow many of us to get important culture time with our family that ISD truly values. Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.
All right. Chiapi, you're actually up next for our question and answer period.
Thank you, Adam. So, the floor is yours if anybody has questions for either the board or administration. Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody, for this fantastic year. I am the father of Lorenzo, a child in 2nd grade, and we are going soon to leave Dakar. So first, I would like really to thank you very much for the 2.5 years that our son was at the school. And I have a question, but this is personal question about the future of the school. I see that increasingly there are buildings in Diamniadio, that some ministries are moving there. Is there any plan to open a second campus there? What's your vision looking at Dakar moving in that direction?
Thank you. That's a question that we have debated, I think it was the year before last, because we held a focus group and the whole community had been invited to reflect on that question. it is still there, and that will be a part of the development of the next strategic plan. Because independently from the fact that some of our future families may be living in Diamniadio, Dakar is growing, and more international families are coming here. And one of our questions is, how can we continue to serve our families, and how will we be able to increase our capacity, either on this campus or on a new one to be built? But that will be a question for the future boards, and it's a question that's on the table.
Thank you.
So I suppose that information shared this afternoon was complete and satisfactory. Nobody has any questions for us? Well, this being said, we are really at your disposal. I mean, this is just a forum today, but anytime really you have questions, you may ask me or any other trustee here, or send us an email on our email box. That's boardbox@isd.faculty.sn, and we'll be very happy to help. So, this being said, I think that we can move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is the announcement of the election result.
I have the fun part. So I am pleased to announce the upcoming elected trustees of ISD for a 2-year term. Eileen Garahan. Carlo Cassina. Molly Glenn. S. Afua Manyo Planji. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Sadia Asim. And Xiao Jing Hu. Welcome to the Board of Trustees.
That brings us to the end of our program. However, I would like to take this opportunity for those in the audience, and those who are listening. Over the next 2 weeks, the community will be interviewing candidates for the director position for starting in August of 2022. Please do keep an eye out on the emails for this. How it's going to work is each of the candidates will virtually connect with our community over a 2 to 3 day period. There will be an open session for any parents who want to attend. The candidates' bios, a brief summary of them, will be released. Their name and bio will be released 24 hours before the session, before their first day. There'll be a Zoom call you can log on. We'll have some questions there, as well as taking questions from the audience. The emails announcing the dates will also have a link where you can provide feedback. That feedback goes to our outside consultants, who then will share all the information with the board. So this is obviously a very important decision for the community. I encourage you to participate in the sessions by attending them live. They will also be recorded, and you can view them at some other time right around that, and still send in your feedback. So it's an important decision for the community. With that, thank you for coming out tonight and sharing this event with us. To those in the audience, thank you for listening in. Please stay safe.
J'ai été ça depuis là. Oh d'accord. Je donnerai. There's no safari.